Fantasy Sports Coaches, welcome back to another episode of GameDay Squad's Aussie Rules Show. This is for round 3. You'll be joined by myself, Tom, and co-host in Cal today to just talk about the round that just was and then to look forward into round 4 and make some winning squad decisions. Cal, mate, I know you're always ready to go, but how are we feeling this week heading into this show?
Round 4, heading into round 3, mate. You've already
Round
got
4
your head
comps, in round 3.
You've got your head in Magic Round. Not Magic Round. There you go. I've got my head in Magic Round, Rugby League World. We're going to be in Gather Round for round 4. So I can't wait for that. You and me, we're flying down to Adelaide. Should be a bit of fun, bit of game day squad stuff. What wasn't fun? Losing to you again this week, which I'm sure you're very happily going to get into. But you know what? I had a good week. You shouldn't rate yourself against others. I had a good week. I'm happy with it. So let's get into it.
You shouldn't rate yourself against others, but I'm pretty sure you're the one that started this little rivalry we have. But we'll move on. We'll move forward. Everyone, you want to stick around in this episode because today I'm going to unveil my biggest point of difference player card that all of you need. And Cal has also identified the players that he needs in order to knock me off, which, let's be real, it's not happening. I don't believe it for a second. But anyway, Cal, why don't you start us off this week, mate? Why don't you get into your top 3, your bottom 3, and talk about the squad that just was?
Yeah, so I came 38th this week, 2,687 points. So 38th is pretty good. Top 50, we get prizes. That's where you want to be aiming for every single week. I've hit that for the first time this year. I've moved up to 67th, so that's up 14 spots. So I had a good week. Had a good week. And I'll give you my top 3. I started doing them in order last week, so I'm going to continue that this week. Number 3, I'm giving it to Tommy Stewart. Game 150. It was a pretty tough decision to play him. Honestly, I think the tipping point was I just wanted to have someone on in that game. I think I texted you and I'm like, oh, should I? I did. I'm glad I did. 20 kicks, 11 marks, 135 GDS points. Very nice bounce back game after his early performance. Number 2, I went Connor Rozee, 132 points, but that's 185 as my prize card. So he was my highest scoring player when you factor in all the multipliers. He started playing this quarterback role, which we see Sheasel and Dacos do, and I'm really starting to like it. He comes back deep, plays out the back. At times it's frustrating because he doesn't run past the ball to get it, but at times it's just easy touches. And what I love about him is he plays a completely different role to Butters. So both of them can be elite, as we saw on the weekend, and they don't get in the way of each other. And number 1, I have to give it to Zachy Merritt. So 146, 190 as my platinum. Absolutely 8 with no Parrish. We did have that as the big team news last week. We said he's not in, Parrish hasn't been named. What does that mean for Merritt? Well, it meant 32 touches, 2 goals. And I made the call to play him over Goulden. And Goulden had a very good game, but fortunately for me, Merritt had a slightly better one. So I got that one right, and it paid off. So they're my top 3.
Mate, pretty good top 3. But yeah, I know. Some players that I have in mind, we didn't have any of the same, which I think is very funny. We both had a pretty good week, but neither of us have the same top 3. But I want to talk about your bottom 3. Go on. Take it away, Cal. Who are the worst 3 performers for your squad this week?
So number 3 is a bit of a stitch up. Giving it to the Freo coaching group for taking off Nat 5. So 75 points at 3/4 time. He could have got him 100. He was eating in the midfield, looking really good, but that hurt. Wasn't the lowest score, but that one hurt the most because he was looking good. He was at those CBAs. Number 2, his teammate Hayden Young. He only got 88 points and he did not get taken off at 3/4 time. It just seemed like all the other big name Freo players were eating around him. He did not. It hasn't looked like himself early. He was someone I know we're both pretty high on. I'd love to have a chat about him in a second, get your thoughts on it. But number 1 was Dacos. I spent the platinum on him. Didn't even crack the 100 as the platinum. I'll touch more on him in a second. But yeah, just very disappointing 71 base score.
Yeah, well, Fife, I remember we had texted each other and I was saying Fife is bringing Freo back into this. He's dominating. And then you texted me being like, they've just pulled him off. And I'm like, there's no way. There's no way they've taken him off. And fair enough, they did. Mate, second point, Clark, I reckon, over Hayden Young. I don't know. We were both talking in that game. Clark looks so good. Hayden Young looks a little lost, in all honesty, in the midfield. Like, he's getting the CBAs, he's getting the opportunity to be in the midfield and score, but just hasn't found his feet. No. And yeah, Dacos. I guess that hurt. How many people would have it hurt? I'm interested to see, because I feel like most people in GameDay Squad either wanted Dacos put in their squad or would have been starting one. So yeah, tough week.
Tough week. But you did a little bit better. How did you go? How did you knock me off this week?
Well, first of all, knocking you off is easy. 2,705 fantasy points, ranked me 28th. Seasonal rank at the moment is 26. So I've actually jumped up a couple of spots, which I'm stoked about because I feel like I'm just slowly on the way. On Saturday, I was sitting at third. I had 6 players left to play. Unfortunately, those 6 players didn't play too well for me. But let's get into it. Top 3, Jordan Dawson, 150 GameDay Squad fantasy points. We sat there in the live, Cal. I said, is it going to be Bontempelli for my squad? Is it going to be Clary for my squad? And I was getting stick for having Jordan Dawson in there. And fair, would you have a highest scoring player of the round? Had an all-star multiply on it as well, which Jordan. Thank you. Tasty. Second, Errol Goulden, 143 GameDay Squad fantasy points. Finally starting to find his feet. I just feel like he was unleashed on the weekend against Essendon, and we can expect a lot more of that, which I'm pumped about. I can't believe you benched him this week, Cal. I just think even if you weren't excited about his upside, the matchup was really good. The Essendon matchup was really tasty. So if there was a week to bench him, I just don't know if this was the one.
Well, I did it over Merritt, right? So I've made the decision. I got it right. Merritt scored more.
I guess.
But that was the head-to-head.
But there's still
the
5 other mid-spots.
Should I have played Brayshaw? Maybe not. But
yeah. Anyway, move forward. It's always easier in hindsight, isn't it? You can sit there and be like, mate, this is what you should have done. Well, of course, because now we know. Isaac Heaney, rounding it off at number 3, 134 GameDay Squad fantasy points. The number 1 forward currently this season. Unbloody believable start. Cal, I still remember you sitting there in round 0 being like, am I going to get caught into this trap of starting Heaney again? Well, mate, I don't think it's a trap. It's a bloody blessing in the skies.
Yeah.
Get Isaac Heaney in your squads. He's been unreal.
I think the tweet I put out was, I'm ready to get hurt again. I'm ready to be hurt again. Whatever the great Michael Scott tweet is, and a big photo of Heaney in my forward line. I still think it's coming, but let's make the most of it while Jordan and Mills and Parker are out. Like, that's a different story. I'm really, really interested to see what they do with him. What does the value of Heaney do long term? Because is it ever going to get better than this? I don't know. Maybe he's a good buy, sell high, maybe, but I wouldn't be doing it until those players come back at least. But yeah, get onto your duds or your bottom players. Who did let you down this week?
I will. I made some substitutions here. One of them being Archie Perkins. Wasn't in my squad for the live stream. Put him in because I was like, you know what? Got named starting in the midfield. I like the matchup against the Swannies. I'm like, should be able to run a bit loose. We like to play a fast pace, fast style of footy. 77 fantasy points. Wasn't worth the investment. Just not a good call from my end. Is what it is. Number 2, Toby Greene. 82 fantasy points. Look, 82 fantasy points isn't the worst ever, but for the matchup he had, for the player he is against West Coast, that was super disappointing. And I have a feeling that a lot of coaches would have had Toby Greene in their squads this week, or maybe even someone like Jesse Hogan being like, they should kick a bag of goals. He only had 1. That's just super disappointing. In years prior, you'd expect 5 from the gun. He's just so good. But comment down below. Did you start Toby Greene this week because of the West Coast matchup or not? I want to know your thoughts. But number 3, rounding it off, no surprises, Nick Dacos. I spent gold salary cap on him. Not as much as your platinum Cal, but you know what? When you're spending that much salary cap on a player, you really need that to hit, and just didn't this week. So that's why I think he's deserving of the number 3 spot for me.
I like that. And on those, you bang on. And I got lucky. I think that's what saved me, because I did have a few duds, but my players who weren't bronze, so these are either platinums, an all-star, or a prize card, I won 186, 184, 180, 182, 189. So they all hit outside of Dacos. So if you do spend the salary cap and you take the strategy that I do, you get it right, it does save you. but you've got to get it right, otherwise it hurts you. I want to just quickly touch on Archie Perkins. Is he going to be in your squad next week? Because he didn't deliver, but he had about 75% CBAs. So he was still in and amongst it the whole time. He just didn't get his hands on the footy like he did last round.
It's a good point.
What are your early thoughts?
Oh, I'm going to say no for now.
And they've got St
They've
Kilda.
got this massive parish. I know. The matchup's good, actually, with St Kilda. I can't lie. But this big parish asterisk sitting right there, it's like, okay, when Parish comes in and we have a gun player like him, like what he's going to demand, what does Perkins' role become? Do I still think he has a midfield role? Will he still get CBAs? Yes, but he's had it at like, was it 85%, did you say? Or something ridiculous?
75. I think it was 85 the round one.
The week prior. Yeah. So like overall though, that's massive numbers and you wouldn't expect that from Archie Perkins. But with Parish coming back in, I want to see it for a week personally. So no, short answer is no, but I will be keeping an eye on it. That is for sure. He's there. He's like fringe for me.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll find a way back into squads around the buys. He is still only 21, so do not get rid of your Archie Perkins cards because he is going to be a gun.
Exactly. But everybody, we are on the road to 2,000 subscribers and we're less than 40 away. So if you haven't already, sub to the channel, do your boys a favour, and we'll be sure to give you nothing but the best fantasy content all season long and analysis, or at least I can say that. I'm not sure about my partner in Cal. But Cal, I have a joke for you because I know you're a bit disheartened. You had a good week, but you still could have knocked me off. So I wanted to give you a joke to cheer you up.
Oh, yeah, hit me. This will be good. Go on.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Owen.
No, I'm not buying it. Not letting you in.
Owen.
I'm not playing
you don't
this.
Know
I'm not playing this. I know what comes after Owen. Locking the doors.
0-3. That's what comes after Owen, everybody. That is what Cal is. And due to that, I get to cover the stud for the round. So I'm not going to let him sit there in sadness for too long. I'm going to get into the player
anger,
who, according to Cal's partner, this is my doppelganger. It's Tom Papley. 152
according to everyone, you are Tom Papley.
4 goals. I don't know how many times I've been called Tom Papley outside of your household, but we'll play on. 4 goals, 15 kicks, 9 handballs, 10 marks for fantasy coaches and for Swan supporters. What a spectacular performance from the Big Paps. Let me know down below, were you one of those coaches that had your pod in Papley down in your forward squad this week? Because I sure didn't, and I wish I did. That's for sure.
Yeah, I did not. He looked very, very good. If he didn't, I think he took a bit of a knock at the end of the third quarter. Up until then, he was dominating. You are Tom Papley, and for anyone who doesn't know, Tom is Tom Papley. You would have the Tom Papley haircut if work, I should say, if GameDay Squad lets you walk around with the mullet that you wanted. You celebrate exactly like him. And yeah, you are about the same size of him as well, and you play the same position as well. I've seen your forward clips of you snagging sausage rolls around the body. You are him to a T. I wish I could be my dud, because my dud's still pretty good, even though he is my dud, and that's Nick Dacos. 71 points. I touched on him. Only 9 kicks and only 1 mark. I know there was a big thing about him leading up to the game. Top 50 games and everything were covered on AFL.com. This might be one of the worst ones. It's pretty bad, but you're a fool if you're losing faith in this guy. So, yeah, he went 135 and 144 to start the year. The 71 is not who this guy is. So I do not think we will see him back on this list a lot. And I hope not, because I'm going to continue playing that platinum of him because he is one of the best players in the game. But unfortunately, he gets it this week. Yeah,
you and Dacos have a lot in common, actually. Tom Papley's my doppelganger. You're both 0-3, so there you go. You got a lot more in common than you thought. I
was like, how are you gonna land this one? You found a way. Well done. Well, I'll give it to you.
I'm sorry, I had to get you back. You wouldn't indulge in my knock-knock joke. But the next category that I'm going to give out is how the turntables. And that is going to go to James Sicily after a shocking round 1 performance. Sicily goes huge with 139 big ones on the weekend. And the reason I have him named for that is because I want everyone's thoughts. I know I've asked for a lot of thoughts, but I think this is an important one. Are you back on the sick dog train? Are you confident now in starting Sicily in your best defending 7 moving forward? Or do you still need to see more of him and have that role that we saw on the weekend to have the confidence to start him weekly? Because last year, it wasn't a question. He was one of those set and forget defenders by the end of the season. This year, I think it's still up in the air for my opinion. I won't give away too much. I'm not sure what I'm going to do this week, but I'm sure you'll find out later. But I want to know your thoughts. And Cal, because they're going to put them down below in the comments, what's your thoughts on that? James Sicily, is he back in your best? Is he still on the fringe? How are you thinking?
Well, I'll tell you, because we don't discuss who we're giving our player awards to, because we come up with them on the fly over the weekend. I've got James Sicily as mine, so that might answer your question. It's you're dead to me, but in a different way, and it's not because he stunk it up on my field. It's because I didn't play him and he absolutely killed it, and now I don't know what to do with him. Because if I play him, I told you, I'm like, you watch this. I'm kept him off my field, and what did I say? He's going to go for 150. Could have gone for 200 the way he was tracking in that first quarter. So I do not know what to do with this guy. I actually don't. If I leave him out, I'm going to feel bad about it. If I put him in, I'm going to feel bad about it. Good thing is there are a couple of areas down back or a couple of players I'm looking to improve with that will make it harder to get him back into my squad. But how can you not play him after that start? So,
sure. Yeah.
You're brave coach either way with what you do. So please give me advice. I'm lost.
Fair enough. And honestly, it is such a big debate. There are so many defenders playing well. We just touched on some of the outside players like Clark, just absolutely killing it. I'm going to get into another one soon, which is my pod player. He's a defender as well. But let's get into our transfer market targets for round 3, Cal, because this segment, I don't want to pump up myself too much, but I have been killing it. And just for context, I gave you Luke Ryan and Jordan Clark last week, which bang, bang, bang. If you had any of those in your lineup, you're sitting there like, Tom, thank you. And then for the week before, I had Nick Newman. And he had the bye this week, but the week prior, he killed it as well. So it's safe to say I'm on bloody fire with this segment. But Cal, why don't you get us started off? Who's the first player you're going to be targeting on the transfer market for this week?
Well, we do this differently. You sit down and you go, hey, here are the 2 players that you're doing because you feel like your squad doesn't need any changing. I tell you this every week. I tell you a story of what I'm doing and how I'm thinking, trying to give a bit of insights into everyone, either to avoid if you don't want to follow how I'm going, or maybe it is helpful. But last week, I'll tell you what I did last week. You know, I got myself a bronze Flanders and I got myself that platinum Dacos. They both went straight into my squad. Flanders, tick. Dacos, no, but he will be. Over the course of the season, he will be. Who's the player I own the most cards of? You should know this.
Yeah, I do know this. Kane Farrell from Port Adelaide.
Kane Farrell. That guy has had the best kick on him since forever, and he did his ACL 2 years ago. 2 years ago? ACL takes 18 months to come back from. I thought last year he'd have a better year, but because he was a forward, he got moved down back. This year he's starting to see it. So averaging 113 over the first 2 rounds. This week, I'm going to be offloading a few of the 100 Kane Farrell cards that I've been buying up for cents over the last couple of years. So that's number 1. That is going to be how I fund my activity this week, getting rid of some Kane Farrell cards. I don't want to get rid of all of them because I still think he's going to be a gun. He's still going to take over that Houston role, and he could still become an all-star one day. I'm not selling house. I'm not clearing house. But
2 good games, and Cal's like, get out of here, get me all this. I need it.
Here's what I'm going to be looking to do. I'm going to be looking to swap some silver and maybe some gold Kane Farrells. I need 2 bronze cards down back that are going to bolster it and make it harder for Sicily to get into my squad. Isaiah Wanganeen Malira, I do not have a bronze of. And Luke Ryan, I do not have a bronze of. And why they have hurt me. Oh, what have I done there? Ignore the balloons. Don't know if they'll come up on the screen. What I've done with those 2 players is I haven't been able to play them because my strategy means that I go all in on my platinums, and it means that I have to play people like Vlosten and Powell, and it's a bit of a risk. But if I get those guys in, it rounds out my squad, gets me a little bit closer to you. So that is how I'm attacking the market this week. But you tell me what your thoughts on that, and then get into your expert advice that you never get wrong.
Yeah, well, first of all, you're picking one of my transfer target markets from last week. So very, very original. Nice work there, mate. And I do like Wayne Greene Miller, sorry, that play. Like, just, he's been fantastic. He's been so good. Like last week, I was a bit worried about Sinclair coming back in, but it actually made him play better, which was surprising. He played fantastic. Like they just look to get him the ball because they know that his kick, not only is it penetrating, like it can go over the top of the zone defense that's being played, but it's just so accurate. It's on a bloody lead for the person that's running onto it. So there's nothing more you'd want.
Really nice, a lot funner Ross Lyon team to play for as well. There's always the question of is it going to be slow, is it going to be boring?
Yeah.
I really enjoy watching St Kilda. Fun team. Got lots of really good fantasy.
The pace was up.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know whether that's to just match Collingwood and that was a game plan thing or that's what we're going to expect all year, but my goodness, it was fast-paced. It was just back and forth, just going from end to end, which led to plenty of fantasy points, which is why an even bigger surprise why Dacos didn't play well. But this isn't a transfer market target. I just wanted to have a discussion about this player, and it's going to be Jack Sinclair, because I just assume a lot of coaches probably had him in the discussion to play for the week, or maybe they've looked at this performance and are a bit worried because they're like, Isaiah Wanganeen Millera is going to be just the player I want. Sinclair's done. But I just think there were plenty more positives to take away from the game, especially for Sinclair, than what meets the eye and what the stats would say. Because, first of all, he looked insanely fit. I think I mentioned this to you, Cal, but he covered the most ground out of anyone in the game. He accumulated the most Ks. So, coming off this calf injury, his fitness-wise, he's already there. He's 100%. He's looking fantastic. He seemed that he just got skipped a little bit in some plays, and I have a feeling that this was a game plan and a strategy that was implemented by the Saints. It looked like they wanted to move the ball forward quickly and just surge. And that was their game plan. It's because, Collingwood's talent in that middle is so great. You've got Pendles, you've got Dacos, DeGoey. Like, there's just a really stacked midfield. And I have a feeling that part of their game plan was get it over the top of those players. If they're not involved in the game, then they can't beat us. And you know what? It looked like it worked. If that's what it was. I'm just assuming here. That's what it looked like for me, though. So I'm just looking at this. Jack Sinclair, don't be worried about him. Don't be selling house. Don't be trading away your Sinclair cards. Make sure that you either still have one or you're hunting one. Like a bronze, I think is perfect because he's going to be a defender that you want this season. If that's his first game back and that's his floor, like, oh my goodness, that ceiling that he has is going to be fantastic. So that's my first point.
Love it. You know what my rule is? I said it on the live stream. With players come back from injury, what do?
Give him a week, yeah.
Give him a week. Don't play him. Don't worry about how Sinclair went. Don't worry about how anyone else comes in their first week. See how they go in the second week. Footy's a tough game. And yeah, you're right. There were times where he just looked a little bit out of it, whether it was game plan or not. He'll be fine. He's an all-star. He will be 100%. An all-star.
Yeah, couldn't agree with that more. And, mate, let's get into my second player. This is one that people might be waiting for. This is my point of difference player that you all need for your squads because not many people are going to be starting this player, and I think they are criminally underrated. It's Andrew McGrath. He's not going to cost you the investment for some of the top-name defenders, but he is quietly flying under the radar for all coaches this season. First of all, you spoke about Kane Farrell. He's averaging more than this player, 115 average fantasy score per game so far. He has the shared kick-in role for Essendon currently, which is a nice addition to fantasy points. And I'm sorry, Essendon fans, but he's on a team that's going to be doing lots of defending. And I don't mean that Essendon won't be competitive.
That was
but I just
you on the
mean,
weekend. What are you talking about?
But what I'm saying is that their play style invites counter-attacking play, which is, I think, how the Swans capitalised and won the game. Because they do, again, they play fast, they slingshot, which is the new age, the new way you play footy. Similar to the Saints, but yeah, the ball's going to be in the defence a lot because there's going to be a lot of transition, which, by the way, is fantastic for Andrew McGrath. That's exactly what you want. So not enough coaches are taking... And then I just don't think people are capitalising on this opportunity. Go grab yourself a bronze for him. I think that if you need a point of difference player, one of your top 7 defenders, and if you're missing a piece, McGrath's the perfect one for it.
Let's play a little game because I've just been looking at the transfer market here because I wanted to know what his value was to sort of test you a little bit here. Guess how much his... I want to guess... let's go silver. What's the cheapest silver on the market? Have a guess. What do you think it is? Don't check.
I'm not checking.
Have a guess.
Like, I reckon it's cheap. It's like 70 cents.
This guy averaging 115 points. 90 cents for a silver is the cheapest. Somehow
Nice.
there was 50 cents for a gold. Yours truly just snapped that up. But 50 cents for a gold. I've just made a live purchase here on the transfer market
this guy
segment.
takes all my players. He steals my players.
I don't have
and
one.
now he's
I don't
buying
have one.
up
And
my
I've just
players.
seen... I've been too focused on our new Indian cricket game that haven't let this one. But a platinum for $1.30 as well. So he is someone who is still very, very much available and could be a really good one if I don't buy them up before this goes live.
That is pathetic. I can't believe you just did that. I can't believe you just did that. Anyway, we'll move it on because you know what? I don't want to sit here and rant. You need someone like McGrath in your defending group to try to catch me cow, and that's a point of difference player that everyone else is going to want as well. So let me keep teaching you. Let me keep spitting the facts because I've been nailing this segment and I can guarantee McGrath's a player card you're going to want. But speaking about things you're going to want this next thing. And we're doing our matchup matrix with Cow. Cow's going to inform us all this week where we're looking, what we're looking at, and maybe some other point of difference line groups you can target. So, Cow, mate, take it away with your matchup matrix for this round.
Before I do that, I'm here listening to your advice. I'm the first person that's hearing what's coming out of your mouth, and you're getting upset that I'm following it. You should be taking this as a badge of honour, not a slight. Come on, man. What are we doing?
Honour. Oh, goodness.
I'm your number one pupil, as we'll get to with the segment after this one. Matchup matrix time, all right? Let's get into it. I've got a few things for you this week because, like I said, it takes a few weeks for things to actually start falling into place. So I've got 3. And this week I added a bit of something to it.
Okay.
I've given you an alert to it. Is it something that I think is high? Do I think it's a low or a medium alert? Some of these things are sometimes no-brainers you go with. I told you last week it was the Giants midfielders, they'll eat. Greene, we knew. He's starting against anyone. Kelly did really well.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Cornelio turned up as well. So, not terrible. If you'd have followed it, not terrible. This is what I've got for you this week. Mids to continue eating against West Coast. Why wouldn't you keep following this strategy? And guess who it is this week? It's the Dogs. The Bont is a must start if he's healthy. Now, his ankle was troubling him, but if he's healthy, he starts. The person I'm putting on my radar this week, is it a Libba game? I always feel like there's Libba and there's Viney and there's a few people who are never really A-grade players. They're almost like your B-grade and they're always super solid. But if you've got these guys and you don't have the depth, this is the week you deploy someone like a Libba or someone like Oscar Baker or Treloar if you think they're going to eat. They've all got the Eagles this week. I'm putting that as a high alert. That's one you've absolutely got to follow. At least one dog midfielder. The second one I'm giving you is a game we're going to be at, Tom. It's the mids. Don't play them if they're playing Port Adelaide. They're the hardest scoring midfield group after the first 2 weeks. And this week they're coming up against Oliver and Track. But I'm only putting this on low alert because Port have had some witches hatches to start the year. Major low alert. Do not believe this one. It tells you it's number one. I don't like it. What I actually want to focus on is backs have been eating against Melbourne. So, they've played Sydney, they've played the Dogs, they've all been eating. Kane Farrell, we just spoke about. Dan Houston, putting on a medium alert. Maybe if these guys, if you've got the fringes, I think one of them should be in there against the Dogs this week. There should be plenty of ball back there. Sorry, against the Dogs, against the Demons. I think Port's going to get rolled. So, they'll get lots of the footy back there. And number 3... don't play your forwards against Sydney. Sydney are the second hardest to score. This week, Richmond have the chance to go at the Swannies. You've got a few of your boys in there, Tom. You've got Bolton, you've got Martin, and you've got Baker, all as options. So I definitely wouldn't be playing more than one. I don't know I'll be playing any this week. So I'm putting that on medium alert. They are what I found out in the matchup matrix this week. What are your thoughts?
The Port, I love the Port one. Mate, you've had the greatest start to this year. But in saying that,
all we need to do is play North, and it'll be like, oh, we're getting rolled, man. I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I was ready to
But it'll be a good
yesterday.
test. You know, the matchup matrix, if it is true, if they are really the hardest one, it's probably one of the better midfields to go up against, period. So, like, it's going to be the ultimate test. If it is true, then it will definitely, we'll see that this week. I like to play for your Port Power defenders. Farrell or Houston, definitely one of those you should string through your squad. And then the Sydney defenders. Yeah, we've been doing really well. We've been doing really well with our key matchups this year. But I do think that we leak.
Yeah.
Sorry?
The ball's just hasn't been going down there. You guys have been playing so well. So
Yeah, but I do think the weakness we have is for midfielders, i.e. Zach Merritt, going for 144 fantasy points this week. So that's, I think, where you want to identify the matchup with the Swans, because we'll never really tag anyone. We'll just back our guns in to beat their guns, and that, you know, we'll take the matchup head on. We're not trying to play any silly buggers. We stick to our structure.
Yeah,
Speaking of structure, Cal, it's time for everybody to go to school and join me, Professor Tom, in our next lesson. This is lesson number 3. So this is going to be our best one yet. So welcome back to class, firstly. And today's subject is very important. So make sure you're taking notes with this, okay? Okay, I'll get your notebook out. I know you'd like to take notes for this. And my highlight player for this lesson is Toby Greene. Now, Greene, in all honesty, has had a disappointing start to the fantasy season. He's finished 2023 with the highest average of all current forwards in GameDay Squad. So that's last year's averages, taking all the forwards from this year. He had the highest, which shocked me pre-season. But 2024 hasn't looked right for Greene. He just hasn't been ready. He hasn't exploded with a good performance yet. And I don't think, I don't know. He hasn't been playing horribly, but I just think the way, and that most coaches would agree, that he's lacking in his output a little bit. He's currently averaging 78.7 fantasy points per game. So let's get into his report card for the season, because this is really important, as I feel like with forwards being a bit thinner this year, a lot of coaches might have looked to someone like Toby Greene early, but how confident are you in Toby Greene now? I'll give you my opinion on it. Skills, he's an A. We saw his banana from the pocket.
A+.
He's really good with the ball.
Don't do Toby like that. A+. Might be the most skilled player in the game.
That's a big call. He's very good. I can't lie. But A is just one off A+. Like, come on, mate. We're talking the elite. And you know, I take my grades seriously. So it's not like
Not serious.
I don't think he's good.
One of those professors that refuse to give out an A+. Go on.
I gave that A+, and there might be one. Actually, there's not one later. Sorry, no spoilers.
Yeah, that was for
Fitness
Geelong
B.
fooling us.
Yes, I've given it an A+. Fitness B, I just think, you know, he hasn't looked the same. He's not getting around the ground the same. I would like to see him get a little bit more involved, higher up the ground, come up, get some of those marks, disposals, kicks, and that could really just elevate his game. Disappointment, which I just hinted at, it's a B+ for me. I just think if you look at last year, he's lost about 30 fantasy points on average at the start of this year. And the crazy thing for me is he's had fantastic matchups. So if there was a time where he was going to start off hot, start off big, have a really good fantasy score, it was now for me, which is why I think the disappointment grade is so high. His bag kicking ability's at a C right now. He has 2 goals for the season. He had the tastiest matchup last week. That's not what you're looking for. I'm not very happy with that at all. His desire and want for fantasy points, C+. I just haven't been very impressed by Toby Greene. Maybe it's because he has so many other stars around him now. Maybe GWS have gotten to that point where Green's just kicking back and he knows that he doesn't have to do as much, and his team's going to get him over the line because, you know, he's been doing a lot of heavy lifting early on in his career. So maybe it's time for him to take that step back. Fantasy floor. It's a B for me. He's averaging 15 plus disposals a game. So the potential for me is there. I just think it's there. The floor in his fantasy points is there. 15 disposals as a forward. When you look at some of the other forwards this year, he's just so close to cracking into better numbers. He just quite isn't there. And I think it's the goal kicking. 2 goals for the year so far. Go on.
Professor, if his floor is a B as a rating, why did he have 40 points in round 0? I would say that is a D floor. Come on. See, I'll be fair. I'll critique him. I'll say his best skills in the game, but he can go missing. He's done it before.
But 15 plus disposals, I think, indicates your fantasy floor a little bit. I think the statistics don't, and the average doesn't exactly tell and paint the whole story for me. And that was against Collingwood as well. I just think, matchup thing. But that's enough from you, 0-3. Enough from you this lesson. Let me finish off my report card. Fantasy ceiling, C-. And I just spoke about it. We need to be seeing Greene kicking more sausage rolls, especially in the tasty matchup. So that's going to round up my report card. It's not looking too good on average. We're looking at about a C at the moment. So I'm hoping Toby Greene can turn it around. But you know what? The signs, in my opinion, haven't been promising. I think the one little bit of upside was the 15 plus disposals, but we need more goals with that, and we need more of those to be kicks for him to take that next step and to start getting into people's squads consistently. So there we have it. The class is now dismissed. You can go back. Go enjoy
Fantastic. I'm going to find this journal you've done, and I'm going to peer review it because I think you've been a little bit harsh on Toby Greene. He has been a little bit poor, but I don't know about you. This guy always seems to be at his best when the game's there to be won. And it's almost like the Giants just haven't been tested this year. It's like, all right, Collingwood, tough opponent, but they were all on top of them easy in that round one game.
They smashed them.
They've got a tough run. They've played Sydney, they play Carlton, they play St Kilda. I'd expect him to be a little bit more involved in those games and almost like the spark plug they throw into the middle when they need it. Because I'm looking at who they start at the CBAs at the moment. Cornelio, 96% centre bounce attendances yesterday. Tom Greene, 96%. Josh Kelly, 38%. So they've just got their core at the moment. They're just rolling with it. Briggs obviously in there at 88. And they're just, I think he got one centre bounce. They just don't need him. They just look after him in the forward line.
He got one CBA. Yeah, you're right.
So maybe it's the play you did right yesterday. It's put in Hogan if you think they're going to have a big game and score. That didn't work out yesterday, but it's not because Hogan didn't have some shots on goal. He just missed them. But yeah, correct. Toby Greene against these lower teams maybe isn't the guy. But this is just a feel. I've got no evidence for this one. It's not a matchup matrix, but I would love for someone to fact check that below. But that's just what it feels like, the type of player he is.
Yeah, it does. It feels like and as I said, I even made the point, maybe it's because he's taken a step back. They've been rolling teams, and he's like, you know what, I don't need to come out today and go kick 5 goals or kick 4 goals and take advantage of this matchup. I'll let my teammates do all the cooking for me. And they have been cooking, that's for sure. Tommy Greene, been an animal this year. Whitfield, they have been on fire. But Kel, before we wrap up the show, which we're about to wrap up, you do a great debate. And this week, mate, I'm excited to get into this one. I'm going to give you the topic. As we spoke about last week, you're going to choose which side you want to play on, and then we're going to get into it. But what our topic has been submitted by a user is, what's the highest rarity you should go for on a single player in the capped competition? They're talking about the risk versus reward scenario. So where would you like to sit on that argument?
I want to go, well, what do you want? Can I take the higher side? I don't know how you want to phrase this. Of course
you can. Yeah, I think it's either like, do you do the higher side or do you spread it out and do more? I'm
higher. Let's get into it. I'm ready to go.
So you'll be we'll say you're the 4. We'll say I'm the against. All righty, Cal, before the great debate begins, no getting upset this week if you're cut off before 20 seconds because my rules are strict. 20 seconds, that's all you get. We're not here to debate for hours. We're here to debate for 20 seconds each.
It's when you put us on a short and make us look like clowns that I have an objection to. But all right, let's get into it.
Mate, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of humour. Cal, our great debate question is, what's the highest rarity card you should be playing in your capped competitions? You're on the clock. Start when you're ready.
All right, let's go. It's a legend card. If you have the legend card of a player that is playable, you play him. If they're an elite player, they're going to get you the most amount of points. Can you imagine what a legend Tom Greene would be doing for your squad? The answer is more than any person you have. Would I be playing a Todd Marshall legend? No. It's all down to who the player is, but legend is the answer to the question.
When you're playing in the classic competition, of course, mathematically it makes sense to spread your salary cap over more people. You want more multipliers and more players because you don't want to be going all in on a player. If they don't play bad this week and you have weeks like Cal has been having, you're just going to be decimated in terms of your fantasy score. So make sure you're spreading it even, have a good selection of players to play, and then you're going to be doing the best.
I hope you have cut yourself off looking like a fool there, because you were looking like a fool as you were making that take. So I'm very happy with the side of the debate I'm on there. It is an easy answer. You play the best cards. I don't even know if you believe that. Thanks to whoever sent in the question, you helped me get one up on Tom on this Monday morning, and I needed that.
Hold up. Wait a minute. I want everyone to decide down below who you think has won that debate. Firstly, smash a like on the video as well, and give us the topic for next week, because we're going to be giving out player packs to people who provide us the topic. So I will be in touch with the user that's given us this week, but there's always a chance. There's always another week, so you got nothing to lose. Smack a comment down below. Let us know what you want to debate about.
And I'm just hearing special show next week. Did you want to talk about that?
Speaking of, we do have a special show next week, Cal. We're going to be in some different setups.
Yeah.
I don't think we give too much away, but we are going to Adelaide, firstly. We are going to be there for Gather Round, and there are some content creators around there that do some great fantasy content, and maybe we've done content with them before. So we're going to be in the area. We're going to be recording a show, and just maybe. Well, you guys will have to wait and see. So make sure you're keeping an eye out for that, because that is going to be a banger. And Kel, if I'm not mistaken, we'll have a special guest on our show as well.
Well, we can't go to the special guest's house and not use the special guest studio without inviting the special guest on. So that would be a bit rude. We might have a couple of stuff. It is going to be a fun weekend. We missed out on it last year, so we can't wait to get there. Your mind's been there since round 0. I think you're already talking about Magic Round or Gather Round. Here I am. Magic Round, wrong sport. Gather Round. I can't wait. It'll be so much fun. Magic Round is such a better name. It just is. I'm sorry, the NRL, good tick
magic.
For them there. It's just all fantastic. I'm hoping, and we've been the last couple of years, it's been lots of fun at Magic Round. We're footy fans, we're not rugby fans, so this will be even better. Can't wait to catch up with a lot of people down there. And I believe we've got an event on the Friday as well. We've partnered with the Keeper League podcast and DT.
Tell us more about that. Where is that event at, and how can I go, Cal?
I don't know. I'm just being told to head down there, talk to a lot of people, give out a bunch of GameDay Squad stuff, including hats and shirts. So if you're there, we'll see you there. And if you're around the game, I'll be the person in the Port jersey yelling to get rid of Ken Hinkley in the flesh. It'll be nice to actually yell that out in the state where he lives. So looking forward to that.
Oh, mate, that sounds like a fantastic week of footy. You get to hell abuse at half. We get to watch all of our players live. It's going to be a ripper weekend. And as Cal hinted at, if you are attending Gather Round and you see us, feel free to pull us up. We'll have some goodies for people who come up to us, who play GameDay Squad, and show us that they have the app downloaded on their phone. You can guarantee I've got some good stuff for you waiting. And I know Cal, he might keep the cards and packs for himself because he's a bit like that on the live. So I'm sorry in advance, but I'll be the generous one. Come find me and I'll be able to hook you up with some goodies.
Yeah. I was going to say something. I will not. But that's probably a great place to end it.
It is a great place to end it, everybody. Thanks so much for coming out to the most recent episode. Smash a like. Leave all those comments and thoughts down below, and we'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.